on the pod. I definitely made a video on my YouTube channel. Do you remember when me and Waleed went to Detroit? I think I told you about this.
I know we all went to Detroit for the whole event. I don't know what.
Yeah, we got invited to. I forgot what event it was, but Ben Wallace was there, and it was like some 2K tournament. So I was like, all right, fuck it, let's pull up. They didn't pay me. They just, and usually like to go up to an event like that, I'd be like, yeah, pay me. But that event, Troy Dan was going, and I was like, fuck it, there might be some good content. And it was being recorded at the Pistons Arena. I forgot what it's called, Little Caesars or something.
The new one is Little Caesars, but the old one was called something else.
Yeah, so
Palace, I think
when we first got there, that was the first year it was called Little Caesars.
Oh, okay.
So me and Willie drove there. Toronto to Detroit is a 4-hour drive, and it's across the worst border. The Detroit border is like, they don't actually use their brains. Actually, no, I flew because they got me a flight, and Waleed was like, fuck it, I'll go, and Waleed's down for anything. So Waleed ended up driving. So I got into the airport in Detroit, I got out, and it's actually a 4-hour flight and a 4-hour drive, because all the time waiting, going through TSA, it takes 4 hours anyway. I was like, it gave me a flight. I ideally should have went with Waleed anyway. Yeah. So Waleed gets to the border, and they see the DSLR. It's not for work, it's not for nothing, but when they see a big camera, they just immediately assume like, oh, this guy's a professional. Doesn't matter if it's like an entry level, they can't tell the difference. So they immediately assumed that I was there for work, and I told them like I wasn't getting paid. There was proof of that. And Waleed got stopped at the border, and they literally fingerprinted him and everything. Yeah. So Waleed waited, tried to come back, and they rejected him again. And so I was like, man, and keep in mind, we went there a day early. So we were just supposed to chill in Detroit for that day. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go chill with Waleed on the Canadian side of the border, and we'll cross the next day. Or we might just go home and say, fuck this whole event. I'm not getting paid for it anyway. I didn't really sign shit. They just gave me flight and hotel. Yeah. And in Detroit, that's mad cheap because nobody goes there. Okay. So I took this taxi to go back to the border, to go back to the Canadian side to link with Waleed because he was driving. And so when I got there, when I was in the taxi driver, and keep in mind, my dad is a taxi driver. I know how it operates. And it was weird the way he was operating. So first of all, you're legally, at least in Toronto, you're not allowed to have a person with you in the car when you're a taxi driver. So if my mom wanted to ride with my dad, they legally were not allowed to do that. But the dude that was driving was there with a woman that was his age. I just assumed that was his wife. And he was like, hey, how are you going to pay? And I said, I'm going to pay by card. And so he's like, all right, can I get that in the middle of the ride? So I was like, okay, that's eerie. It's not like that in Toronto. But there's differences, in United States and Canada. Like, for example, when we go to restaurants, they bring the machine to us. It would be wild for them to take our card and go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but that's common here.
Yeah, I get that, but not in the middle of the ride, though.
Yeah, so that was, but I didn't know if that was just a custom I wasn't used to. So I gave him my card, but then he had it for like 3 minutes. So I was like, well, the card is compromised now. And I think he said something like I couldn't pay with that card. But in my mind, I'm like, he probably took photos or something of the front and the back. He had it for minutes, and I don't know what he was doing. And I was asking for it back after like 2 minutes went by. I was like, hey, you get what you need? Like I was trying to prompt him to, but he was like, yeah, you can't pay with this card. So I was like, okay, just drop me off at this gas station and I'll get you some cash. And I didn't think it was going to work, because Canadian credit cards are actually hit or miss with ATMs. It's like 50-50. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to accept it. It worked. So I got cash, and I gave him the cash, and I got dropped off at the border. The thing is, he actually can't cross the border with me because he didn't have a passport. Yeah. So he just dropped me off at the nearest station, and there's like duty-free places where you can buy like things like wine or whatever that's incredibly marked up, but you can legally cross the border with it without having to. When you cross the border, you have to say what you're bringing with you. But the duty-free stuff, you don't have to say that. Okay. So it's a way for both American side and Canadian side to make money selling high-priced shit for no reason. Okay. So when I got there, I immediately called my bank, and I was like, cancel my card. Which turned into a tragedy months later, because I didn't realize how many payments I was using that card for. And it fucked up my credit. I dropped like 30, 40 points because I forgot to make my gas payment. And that was only like $120, and it was with that card. Anyway, it was a tragedy just because you can't walk across the border. You have to get a car. So I had to find a taxi driver that was willing to drive me over. And you have to tip them extra because legally they're not supposed to do that for you. You know what I mean? Okay. So anyway, I paid a dude extra, and after 15, 20 minutes, because keep in mind, I canceled my card now, and I was looking for ATMs, and some of them are hit or miss. I didn't really know how I was going to get past the border. Okay. And if I'm freaking out, hours went by. Waleed's wondering what's going on that end, and my phone is about to die. I just canceled my credit card. Fuck, what am I going to do? Eventually, I find a guy. He brings me on the Canadian side of the border. I link with Waleed, and we're both like, fuck it. Me and Waleed do stupid trips all the time. We know when to call it quits on a trip. yo, just send me back to Toronto. There's 2 Facebook streams I haven't done. Might as well get the money for those streams instead of, sitting here on Windsor, which is the Canadian side of the Detroit border. And there's nothing there except for a university. That's it. So we drove back. We drove back 4 hours. We got to my house. I did 2 Facebook streams. Made my good money. But then the next morning, I was like, Waleed, fuck it. Let's just go to Detroit. I did all my obligations. I had my videos ready. I did my streams. Like, let's drive back to Detroit. Boom. 4 hours to Detroit. And this time it was a blizzard. The blizzard was starting. Now, I don't know if you've ever drove in a blizzard before.
No.
But your car hydroplanes a lot. And this was back when I had my Honda. So it means like, let's say like
I
there's...
know the hydroplane.
I'm just explaining for the people. Let's say there's this much snow, right? Usually it was in between lanes. Because on your lane, people already like this. It's just slush.
Oh, yeah, they push hard down.
But in the middle of the lane, when you're changing lanes, you're gonna hit patches of full snow that hasn't been moved yet. Which is why pickup trucks are a blessing in situations like that. Because most cars rely on big cars to kind of push all that shit down. Anyway, on the way there, about 20 times the car slipped. And you just had to be like alert enough to catch the wheel every time your car hydroplanes. I had low profile tires, which made it a little bit more dangerous. And I don't even think I had winter tires on at the time. Even if I did, it was horrible conditions. We made it to Detroit. Troy was there. We recorded a video.
I vividly remember the video itself.
Yeah. And I met Ben Wallace there too. First of all, tall as shit. Second of all, he doesn't feel like Ben Wallace without an afro.
Yeah.
Third of all, he was like, he used to tell me about some of the businesses he was into. And I think I still have his number, to be honest. I just never texted him. But it was very odd. I forgot. He had like a remote controlled car racing league business. That's a thing.
I know it's a thing, but I'm imagining 6'9" Ben Wallace handling a small remote control car, getting mad hype because he's trying to, outrace somebody.
Yeah, so it was a small event. There was like maybe 20, 25, 30 people there. Most of them knew who I was. But I spent the time just networking and talking and chilling. And we got a chance to shoot around in the arena too, which I guess was kind of cool. So all of that's done. It's night and it's time to go back. And keep in mind, they gave Waleed a lot of trouble because he was stopped last time.
Yeah.
So now for the next like year and a half, Waleed was put on a list because he got rejected at the border. And so every time he flew anywhere to the United States, he actually had to spend like an extra hour or so for extra questioning because of this Detroit trip. So when we're going back, we're heading back home, it's full blizzard mode now. And I mean, and keep in mind, the from Detroit to Toronto, they don't really pave the roads ever. So it's just like, you kind of just, because it's just empty 4-lane highway.
As a sign, this is the reason why I don't go with y'all anywhere. Because everything you're saying, I would literally be in the back annoyed as hell about the decisions that y'all made. Because I definitely would have been like, I'm not going back to Detroit. Like, it's done. It's done already.
So, we're furious about the situation. The Detroit border guys don't know their own laws, giving us trouble. And we went back and forth. There was a lot of driving. So we're finally headed home.
Okay.
In the middle of the drive home, it's pitch dark. There's not a lot of lights out. And snow fucking everywhere. I was going the speed limit, which by the way is too fast in a blizzard.
It's too fast normally in a really bad rain.
Especially with low profile tires.
Yeah, no.
And I learned my lesson that day. So after it was 40, 45 times of the car hydroplaning, boom, catch the wheel. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, there's no danger here. I'm always catching it. I can stay at the speed limit. I don't have to worry about slowing down.
Oh my God.
So out of nowhere, this 18-wheeler truck turns into the left lane. Keep in mind, it's 2 lanes. Well, why are you moving to the left lane? Man, it was cheese. So I moved to the right lane, going the speed limit. But again, that's too fast.
Yeah.
My car hydroplanes and immediately skips out. And Waleed is like dozing out on the right in the passenger seat. So he's not paying attention. And this was unlike any other one because there was no opportunity for me to regain control. I lost it. So it was only a matter of controlling where I'm going as I'm losing it. So immediately the car spins right. And right is like oblivion. There's no highway. There's no railing. You're just going to go into the dark abyss. And I had no idea what was there. There's no lights. To the left of me now is an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
So the car moves right. I flip it to the left. And then I could fucking see my life flash before my eyes as I almost go underneath this truck and get fucking rolled over. And I immediately just took my wheel, whipped it off the highway because I didn't know what was there, but it was better than under this truck. And I don't know how to explain how perfectly things went, but we hit the most beautiful, perfect angle landed in a snowbank. No hood damage, no car damage, no engine damage. Our car was just stuck. And so when we flew off the highway, it was like, and Lee at this point is fully alert, and he's looking at me just ready to rip me apart because he's like, I told you to stop going that fast. And so inevitably, after going off the highway, keep in mind, now we're in the middle of nowhere, boom, we just hit a snowbank.
Yeah, okay.
And we just sit there for like 10 seconds. Lee looks at me and goes, what the fuck did I tell you? And so we get out and it's like knee deep snow because it's been a blizzard now for almost a day. And we look, the car is in perfect condition. The car is running. It's just stuck.
Yeah.
So all it took was $150. We got a tow truck to pull us out. It took him like 45 minutes to get there. And it was in the middle of nowhere, so it took him a while.
But 45 minutes is still straight, though.
Yeah, it is for the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And we didn't really know which directions to give him. We're just like, look for the lights off the highway, like on the right side of the highway. And it worked out, you know? And it was at that day I realized, I know this is not the moral I should have gotten. The moral should have been be more careful. But the more I learned was I'm buying a new car with some safety features.
Jesus Christ.
And so literally a month later, I got my Mercedes because I was fucking sick of the Honda. It was a very inherently dangerous car. It was a lot less
especially
safe.
When you were
yes,
you driving
especially in a blizzard, especially with the low profile tires.